Hello, Ang Lee here, joining you from the set of Sense and Sensibility 2, The Legend of Colonel Brandon's Gold. I just wanted to let you know that the following podcast contains spoilers for my movie, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Welcome to Diabolical, the show where four long-suffering friends compete to improve film's most dastardly schemes. I'm your host, Craig, and this week's movie is 2000's Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. So, don't waste your last breath on us. Waste your whole life. And let's get diabolical. Welcome to this week's episode. As host for this week, I'm chairing the panel of peril, who will compete against me at the close of the show to come up with the best alternative plan for the movie villain of the week before we vote to name this week's most diabolical. As ever, I'm joined by three warriors renowned in their home prefectures. So, when I see your name, please respond with your preposterously long nickname. For example, I'm Craig, renowned in Carmarthenshire as Charming Northern Tortoise. So, Lord Manly Supreme, please respond with your preposterously long nickname.
I am well known in the prefecture of Saitama, and my preposterously long nickname is Taro Kempei Obakamaru III.
And can you tell the non-Japanese speakers what that means?
Taro is a very common boy's name, like Bob. Kempei means guard, and Obakamaru means all-round stupidity.
Bob guard, all-round stupidity.
Probably more like Bob the all-round stupid guard, the third.
Very nice. Gaz?
I am Gaz, and I am known as Lone Wolf, Wife, and Two Cubs.
He's a lone wolf. Finally, Adam.
Buona stente. It's Adam. My long name is Zhifang Lai Jingji, which means very correct, gallant hero.
Nice.
Very correct, not just correct.
Very correct. The best kind of correct. Just below technically correct.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon kicked off a slew of copycat wuxia, such as Hero and House of Flying Daggers. So we can get to know each other a bit better, please share with us, other than this, what is your favourite martial arts movie or series, Adam?
I saw a film, I can't remember how many years ago now, about 5 years ago, called Bangkok Knockout. And it's just mental. It's basically a load of fighters get locked in a warehouse and they have to fight their way out. And it's mental. There's like people getting hit with breeze blocks. At one point, a flaming man bursts through a wall. And it's just great.
Nice. Gareth?
I went for the first thing that leapt to my mind, and I had a quick Google to see whether it would technically qualify as martial arts, and so on that basis, I'm saying Seven Samurai.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah. Lord Manly Supreme, your favourite martial arts film or series?
Mine's a toss-up between Enter the Dragon and Rumble in the Bronx. If you really have to push me, I'll probably say Enter the Dragon.
Nice. As for me, my favourite martial arts series is Yip Man, starring Donnie Yen.
Ah.
Oh, yeah.
The story of Bruce Lee's mentor. Wonderful. Time now to delve into this week's film and its year of release. In world events of 2000, the UN designates 2000 as the International Year for the Culture of Peace. War continues regardless. And despite fears and omens regarding the end of the world, such as the rare conjunction of 7 celestial bodies in our solar system and the looming threat of the Y2K bug, the world continues regardless. The last syzygy of all 9 major heavenly bodies in our solar system occurred in the year of this panel's birth. That's bad omens. 2000's Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon explores the tug of war and peace at the heart of a warrior, and the balance between desire and duty. Director Ang Lee, whose 1995 adaptation of the Jane Austen favourite had been a similar critical and commercial success, pitched the film to actress Michelle Yeoh as Sense and Sensibility with Chop Socky. The film lined up an impressive 10 Academy Award nominations, setting the record for foreign language films. Released that same year, Jet Li, who had passed on the role of Li Mu Bai, starred in Romeo Must Die. Other period pieces included Ridley Scott's Gladiator, and Mel Gibson's Patriot, and Hong Kong action was making its mark on Hollywood as Jackie Chan joined Owen Wilson in High Noon, and John Woo was throwing doves at Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible 2. But what did you make of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon? Lord Manley.
From a technical standpoint, this film might be the best one we've done so far. It looks amazing. It moves along really nicely. There are a few slight sags that I'll get into a little bit later, but visually it just looks fantastic. The CG still holds up really well. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I rented it from Apple TV, so I got to watch it once and then it expired. But I really want to watch it again to really confirm my kind of opinion of it, because I think the last time I watched it was with you guys in probably the year 2000, and I haven't seen it since then. Yeah, it blew me away, really.
I think it was made at a time when CGI was used to enhance sets and practical effects, like the wire-fu work that you get in this, and the really impressive sets that just had the digital background. When you've got a grounding in something real, it really helps to sell digital effects, and I think that's why this still, 23 years now later, still impresses and looks amazing.
The sets are fantastic, absolutely. The costumes, the details of the costumes, like I say, from a technical standpoint, it's got to be right up there with anything we've watched so far.
Nice. Gaz?
Yeah, it holds up amazingly well for an over 20-year-old martial arts film, in my opinion. I think, thinking about it, may have been one of the first foreign language films I probably watched.
Yeah.
At that point, certainly in the cinema.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so good. Michelle Yeoh and Chow Yun Fat are they're amazing. So subtle, their performances, the little longing glances at each other, the silences, and the fights are absolutely incredible. That was basically how it was sold at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Better fight scenes than The Matrix, which hadn't long come out.
Yeah.
Never seen anything quite like it before. Seen some things similar to it since, like you say, Hero and Kiss the Golden Flower and so forth, but nothing really has come close to it since, for my money. A couple of slags like Lord Manly Supreme said, which we'll talk about later. But apart from that, it's a near perfect film.
Yeah. On the subject of performances, Cheng Pei-pei as well, who plays Jade Fox.
Yeah.
All of that emotion plays out on her face at once. The bitter resentment, the kind of the angst, the fear that she's been surpassed.
You feel her betrayal. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. Ziyi Zhang later on does a lot of the same facial expressions as her, and sometimes I look at her and I think you can see a resemblance between them, when she's being pursued by Li Mu Bai through the forest especially. She just has a look of the Jade Fox about her face, and I was like, oh wow, it's full of brilliant performances. Adam, your overall thoughts of the film?
I did the same as Lord Manley, but I didn't rent it. I bought it on Amazon Prime because I couldn't find my DVD within my bowels of my dungeon of DVDs.
Yeah. £5 UHD forever.
I know, yeah. So I was like, I think I'll buy it, because I think if I don't buy it, I'll regret it. And I'm glad, because, yeah, it was my line that I wrote down, and this really sums it up for me, is it makes the Matrix fight sequences look like Team America.
Well, I don't know whether I'd go that far.
Yeah, Matrix fight sequences are brilliant.
They're good, but it's the speed and the fluidity of this. In Matrix, it's much more, stop, quick fight, showboat. Quick fight, showboat.
Well, the difference. The difference is Michelle Yeoh. She's phenomenal.
It's the wide shots as well. It's the fact they cover it wider. The Matrix, I think you'll find, I haven't seen it for a while, so it's just off the top of my head, but I think you'll find a lot more of the shots are close up. And that's because it's easier to have the cuts, isn't it? These are all taken wide.
Yeah.
So there's no cuts. It's so fluid. It's amazing.
Not trying to shitmouth the Matrix.
Yeah, I'm not distracting from the Matrix, because what the Matrix does for filmmaking and stuff like that, and the technical aspects of that are amazing, and the way they, with the bullet cam and all that kind of stuff, and all these different bits and bobs, brilliant. Yeah. But this, just from a sort of martial arts perspective, it's probably still is unsurpassed.
I think the other thing to say about The Matrix is it's obviously going for a very stylized look and feel. It's trying to replicate anime, and obviously both choreographed by Master Yuen Wu-ping, who went on to direct the not awful, not great Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon Netflix sequel, which I also watched this week.
Oh, it is awful.
I thought it would be worse than it was. When it first came out, I put it on for roughly 4 minutes, and I know that because Netflix kept it paused in the same place. I watched a few minutes of it, and I thought, I can't watch it because it's in English, for one thing, which, for reasons we'll get into shortly, might have been preferable for some people.
Isn't it overdubbed in English, but just done very precisely?
No, it's filmed in English.
Is it?
Yeah, it's filmed in English, yeah.
Yeah, bizarre.
And it has Donnie Yen in it, which was a plus. But yeah, it's not a patch on this at all. But it's not as terrible as I thought it would be. I finally watched it this week after several years of avoiding it.
I did not watch it this week. I avoided it like the plague.
All right, we're going to be trying out a brand new game this week. 2 truths and a lie. I'll explain the rules, as you won't be familiar with them. I'll tell you 2 true facts about Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and 1 lie. And all you need to do is identify the lie.
Well, that's a lie, because we played this before. And you said you won't be familiar with the rules, because we haven't played it before the last time as well.
He's doing it on purpose, Gaz. You plank.
Is he?
Yeah, because the first 5 times we did this, I kept saying that we'd done the game before and we never had.
Okay, fine. I withdraw my comments.
Okay, fact number 1. In some Chinese-speaking markets, the film had to be redubbed because none of the 4 lead actors were able to speak Mandarin fluently or with a convincing accent. Fact number 2. The film's screenplay is based on the 4th novel in the Crane Pentalogy. The first book in the series is called Quick Fox, Lazy Dog. Fact number 3. In the first draft of the screenplay, none of the fight scenes are described. Instead, James Schamus wrote, I will just inform you now that they will be the greatest fight scenes ever in the history of cinema, period.
That sounds like something James Schamus would write to piss off Ang Lee.
It was definitely based on the 4th book in that series. I don't know whether the first book was called that or not.
The title sounds a bit dodgy.
The title sounds a bit like the thing you write when you're typing out all the letters in the keyboard.
Yeah.
The quick brown
the big
fox.
brown fox jumps over the lazy dog.
Yeah.
Tricky.
Yeah. I'm going to say second one is the lie.
I'm going to say the first one, the dubbing.
Lord Manley?
That's the one that caught me off, but then I thought, well, maybe they do speak Cantonese. I don't know. What language is the film in? Is it Mandarin?
Mandarin.
Maybe they speak Cantonese. I'm going to go with the third one, just to be different. The third one is the lie.
Everyone went for something different. Even though at least 2 of you should have talked all of you into recognising that the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog is the sentence you write out when you want to type out every letter of the alphabet. And number 2 is the lie.
Hey.
But it was the 4th book in the series, wasn't it?
It is, yeah, but the first book is called Crane Worries the fucking some shit or other, I don't know.
Such reverence.
I knew the first one was true. Is my research. I found that they did overdub it in some parts of regions of China because the Mandarin speakers in some parts couldn't understand the accents because Michelle Yeoh speaks with a Malaysian Mandarin accent. Chow Yun Fat is Cantonese, his first language, but his Mandarin isn't very good. And he says at some point in one of the interviews I watched this week, he said it's terrible or something, or it's awful.
Yeah, he claims they had to do 28 takes of one scene because his Mandarin was so poor. And apparently Chinese-speaking audiences agreed. Well, it's mainly like, you know when you get an American actor trying to do an English accent and it's just like, ugh.
Hello, mate. How are you? It's usually like that, isn't it? Hello.
As I live and breathe.
Yeah. And so apparently Chow Yun Fat is the Chinese equivalent of Dick Van Dyke.
There's the quote. There is the quote.
That is the quote, yes!
All right, so let's just talk about the film, yeah? Go.
Quite a small thing that I like about it is if you look at Hero and House of Flying Daggers and what's it called? Zhang Ziyi, is that who directed those? His martial arts films, in any case, they've got sort of quite a glossy, more Hollywood sheen to them, whereas Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, it isn't washed out, but it's more naturalistic looking in terms of the colour grade. So I think that it actually helps ground the more fantastical elements, like balancing in the bamboo tree at the end and so forth. It sort of balances everything out.
Yeah, I know what you're saying there. Yeah, I know what you're saying there for sure. Yeah, it does look more authentic, doesn't it? Yeah, for sure. Because I thought you could have really, from the way the movie opens and everything, and you see like the little temple or whatever it is and stuff like that. You could think. Immediately thought it could have been shot any time. Could have been shot in the 70s, the 80s, or around about 2000. It's sort of timeless in the way it looks like. So I get where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, and I think that's one of many techniques that's used to ground it. As Craig mentioned before, the sets with the colours as well give it quite a realistic grounding. So then, yeah, the more fantastical elements do feel more real.
Yeah, I think ironically for a Western audience that would be unaware, the Mandarin is another thing that helps to ground it. I know that at the time I remember reading, probably in Empire or something, that the reason Ang Lee wanted to do that is because it's more traditional spoken Chinese and it would feel more period authentic. Obviously not to people from China, it didn't work out that way, but to my ear, it felt it has like a very formal sound, between that and the calligraphy and stuff. It all feels like a bygone era.
Yeah.
Have you all seen Sense and Sensibility?
Yeah.
No.
One with Kate Winslet and Emma Thompson. If you enjoyed this, I would urge you to watch that as well, because it's also made by Ang Lee.
Are they on wires?
Unfortunately, there's not as much YFO in it. There's one famous scene, of course. I don't want to spoil it for you.
Do they at least have a bit of bullet time?
Hugh Laurie kicks the shit out of Hugh Grant.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Squirrel. Ang Lee's films, they're so varied. It's crazy. He's done the Hulk, he's done Sense and Sensibility, this Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Was it Brokeback Mountain his as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Ice Storm.
Life of Pi.
Lust Caution is a good one. Sexy espionage thriller.
Ooh. Sexy espionage.
Yeah, it's really good. I think it's set in World War II.
You could never pigeonhole him as a certain kind of director, could you?
No, I think he approaches every film on its own terms. You see, like, the way that his Hulk movie was stylized with all the comic book effects and everything, and the split screen edits. Like that film is that film.
Yeah.
He's never trying to put his thing on it. He's servicing, what the film needs, and I think that's really apparent in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Oh, that's interesting.
Do you have any standout sequences, moments, or dialogue from the film that you want to cover?
My favourite sequence by a country mile is the fight between Zhang Ziyi and Michelle Yeoh in Sun Security, where she's just gradually getting more and more pissed off that she can't get a hit on her. Her weapons keep on getting broke to the point where she's just trying to smash her head in with Nayim Par. It's so good.
Michelle Yeoh as well, the fact that she is able to and does use every weapon in that place is just astonishing.
It's amazing.
My favourite weapon in that is the two hook weapons, which she starts using individually. Then she hooks them together and she's spinning them around and sweeping with them, and then she unhooks them again. And then what happens? The sword goes in between, and she rips the hooks off the end, so she has to swap weapon again. God damn, that sequence is absolutely brilliant.
That's a standout for me as well.
And what I love about it as well is there's even time for a bit of comedy in there. She brings that huge metal kind of the heavy iron thing and she falls back. It had everything, that sequence. Yeah, it's definitely a standout.
Yeah.
I love that it's not afraid of comedy. Another great comic moment is just after Jen has trashed the tea house and all the guys are complaining about being beaten up, and they're like, "Who's this goo anyway?" And they explain, "Oh, that's her husband," and they all go, "Ah."
That sequence in the inn where she beats them all is another highlight for me.
Yeah.
And again, there's comedy at the end when the landing just falls to the ground. She's standing there and it just falls. There's a few really great, just beautifully timed comedic moments. But the very best bit in that inn scene is where she jumps and spins up onto the balcony.
Yeah.
Wow. It's so good.
Well, that was a scene where our eldest came into the room and he wasn't sure what we were watching, and he was like, "What the hell is this?" and started laughing because obviously it's all the wire work, isn't it, and stuff like that. I just said, "Sit down and watch it," and he stayed and watched quite a few of the fights until it got to a bit where it wasn't fighting. Then he left. So it was, I was like, and it got sort of sucked in a little bit, but he did think it was ridiculous. But I mean, he's 14, so he doesn't quite understand these things yet.
Did you call him Elvis?
Elvis?
You said Elvis just walked into the room.
Eldest?
Oh, right, okay.
Elvis walked into the room. The grudge is saying a hidden dragon.
Did Chicago Sun-Tribune film critic Dylan Slade watch this, by the way?
No.
Oh, my God.
We finally got him a Fire Stick for Christmas for his TV because he can't get quite a lot of channels on it. So he's just been binging Sherlock. He's been watching fucking Family Guy. He's been watching loads of series that he hasn't been able to watch on his Todd. The other moment during that infight, I think it might be the thing that kicks it off, is she boots that guy through the barricade on the top floor, and the camera just follows him straight down through a table all in one shot. It's very incredible, very nicely done.
The camera work on the rooftop flight is incredible as well. When they're running over the rooftops at the start, the way the camera sort of flies with them, just brilliant.
It's stunning.
Other great comedy is the guard at Certes. He's got the thick eyebrows and he gets paralysed by
Bo.
Jade Fox. Bo, he's brilliant.
He's a double for Chow Yun Fat, isn't he?
Yeah.
Which apparently is a tradition in Wushu films that you have like a comedy double.
Oh, right.
I'm sure I remember them saying on the commentary, yeah. So they felt obliged to put that sort of character in.
Because I thought he looked a hell of a lot like him, and it was. I had to go back a couple of times. And, okay, yeah, all right, I get it now.
Yeah, that definitely happened to me the first time I watched it. I remember feeling quite confused.
Me too.
It's like, in Neighbours, when they used to just replace an actor and never mention it.
One really cool moment I love is just a very small, subtle thing early on. And it's when, and this is the most sense and sensibility scene in the whole thing, maybe. Shu Lien knows that the thief is Jen, but won't say anything. It's like polite society, and instead just casually drops a china teacup by her, and she just catches it silently and puts it back on the table.
Yeah.
For me, it was just the opening fight sequence between Michelle Yeoh and Ziyi Zhang, where they think she's the Jade Fox, and I think that she knows straight away she's not, sort of thing, as it becomes more and more difficult to nail her down and stuff like that. And she's like, "Give me back that sword."
No, it's mine.
Yeah, exactly.
What I really love in that particular fight is all the times when she's trying to take off into flight and she just keeps grabbing bits of her clothing and pulling her down. And then Jen's got her arms crossed like that, and Shu Lien just pushes, like kung fu, forces her back into the wall. It's great.
Is that the one at night, the nighttime fight?
Yeah.
Yeah, she does that kind of, she pushes off the wall and like shoots backwards and then up onto the roof.
Yeah.
That move is so good.
Yeah,
it just sets the tone for the rest of the film, I thought, and it just pulled me straight back in, because I couldn't remember, I could remember bits, but then as soon as I watched that, I was like, I'm going to love this. And that was it, really. And I was hooked the way through. And even Petra was sat next to me, playing around on the phone, and gradually she was watching more and more bits. And then by the end, she was sat up next to me watching it, because she liked the story as well, like the love story as well, and things like that. Although she thought the fights were a bit off the wall, but she did enjoy it as well. So
you could send that to the studios, and they could, when you have like quotes on the posters and the video, more interesting than a mobile phone.
That's quite high praise these days.
It is these days, yeah. I'd say that. There's one other little moment I just thought just looks so great, is when they're skipping over the water. It's when Jen's trying to escape.
Li Mu Bai's chasing her.
Yeah. And it's a really wide shot, but it just looks gorgeous, and it just, oh, wow, it just looks amazing.
They're reflected in the water as well. I'm not quite sure how they did that, because it just looks so real and so great.
I thought it was CG, but it just looked amazing. It just So elegant and I loved it.
It's ray tracing, the reflection.
Right.
I was going to say that Ang Lee uses a very similar shot to that, reflections in water in Life of Pi.
Yeah.
It looks like it's looking down on a swimming pool, but then someone dives towards the camera and you're actually looking at reflections. He loves that shit. He fucking loves it.
A couple of you mentioned that there were some lulls.
I imagine we'll all have the same sort of things for this.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, and then say one word. See if we get the same word.
Yes.
You count for us, Craig.
3,
Okay.
2, 1.
Flashback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Christ, it goes on.
Yeah.
It's about 20 minutes and it just grinds the film to an absolute halt.
Yeah. I understand why it's needed, because the ending wouldn't be as satisfying if we didn't feel that connection, but still, it's long and it is right in the middle. It's weird.
Yeah. What they should have done is got Sly Stallone in to edit it into a nice montage, a nice tight montage to tell us that story more economically.
Push it to the limits. Past the point of no return.
It's difficult because on the one hand, you have to buy that she would fall in love with her captor.
Yeah.
But also there's so many layers to that, which is, on the one hand, she wants to be free of her marriage and her sort of family commitments, her position in society. But on the other hand, she doesn't want to be owned by Lo either. So to try and convey that in a montage would probably be quite difficult.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because freedom is her goal, right? The character's goal.
I'm being facetious. I think 10 minutes is more than enough, if not 5. Rattle through it like a clickety-clacker at a football match.
The first time I saw it, it really did disrupt the flow for me. But this time, because I've seen it like 6 or 7 times now, and I'm expecting it, I just kind of go with it these days.
It's kind of hard to figure out where to shoehorn it in, though, isn't it? It's like it's got to be in there.
Yeah.
How do you get it in there and try and keep things interesting? But after all the excitement and the opening sequence and everything like that, and the first part, it's like it does throw the brakes on, and you are going through it, going, yeah, this is interesting, but I want to get back to the fighting.
Yeah.
Even though it's got a good few fights in it as well. So
Yeah, maybe it would have been improved if they'd had a sexy fight in the bath with wires. He kept trying to fly out of the bath and it's like
throwing
pushing it down
sponges at each
into
other
it.
with big bubbles on them. Oh.
That's just reminded me of Fat Bastard in the bath saying, I hope my wire team's ready.
So this might be quite difficult, especially for Lord Manley. But does anybody have any favourite lines?
Yes.
I do.
Okay, well let's start with Adam.
I'll go for not the obvious one. I'll go for no growth without assistance, no action without reaction, no desire without restraint. And that is Li Mu Bai.
Nice. Gaz.
I have got, when it comes to emotions, even great warriors can be idiots, which is Surte.
Yeah, I've got that down as well. I've got 3 down. That was my second one.
I've got a rough translation from a Mu Bai line that I really liked.
Yeah.
Something like everything or like most things, I am nothing.
Yeah, he's talking about the impermanence of objects in life quite a lot, and his attainment of peace and enlightenment means that he is kind of physically detached from life. And when he talks about never having dared to touch Shu Lien's hand, yeah, that's a good translation. I think you've almost got it bang on, actually. Oh, well, that's to say, if the subtitles that we get in English are a direct translation, it might not be.
Right.
I think the dub and the subtitles are slightly different.
They are, yeah. The English dub is specifically rewritten to match the mouth movements.
Oh, really?
I didn't know that.
My favourite line, which I think for me is a perfect encapsulation of the main theme of this film and kind of like all the repression stories that we loved growing up, like Remains of the Day and that kind of thing, which is stop talking like a monk, just fight. That could be the synopsis of the film. Just fight for your love and the life you want. Stop talking like a monk.
I prefer to fight for my right to party, thank you very much.
You're renowned for that, though, aren't you?
Well, yeah. Here comes fucking party animal Gaz, people say. As I strut down the street in my cowboy hat.
It's your kids I feel sorry for. You're standing outside the school gate. with party
Evening, ma'am.
poppers.
Evening, ma'am.
Did you come up with any cool bits of triv that you wanted to share?
Yeah, you said about Jet Li, he bowed out of the role because he promised his wife that he'd be with her throughout her pregnancy and the birth of their child and stuff like that. That's why he did that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was the first foreign language film in the US to earn over $100 million. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And
Wow.
so far, to date, as far as I'm aware, it's the only martial arts film to be nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah, it's still true. Yeah.
Very interesting bit, quick one. The chap who made the weapons for the movie, including the Sword of Destiny, was Ang Lee's neighbour in Taiwan.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, doing a Matt Hancock, was
That's
he?
it, yeah.
Yeah, no.
Nepo baby. Nepo baby.
Matt Hancock Lee.
I don't know if that means like next door neighbour or just somebody that he knew nearby. I know this. Ang Lee won Best Director at BAFTA, Golden Globes, Directors Guild of America, but not Oscars, which is very unusual. Usually if you get all the prior three, you get the fourth one.
Bunch of odd farts, the Oscars, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, it won 3 Oscars, so it was Best Production Design, Best Original Score, cinematography and international film. Yeah, so that's 4.
Yeah, right. But it was nominated for the mainstream Best Film Award.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
What beat it?
Traffic.
Steven
Yeah,
Soderbergh.
Traffic's quite good.
Yeah.
I think the only film to win both at the Oscars, foreign film and Best Picture, so far is Parasite, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
think.
What do you all make of the ending? What do you think is happening there at the end? Apparently it's a source of ambiguity for some viewers.
Yeah, it could be sort of a taking her own life, or it could be a sense of transcendence. I'm not sure. He looks sad, doesn't he, Dark Cloud, when she jumps?
I think he's sad because he realises that she's not his. Like he's been telling people throughout, she's mine. And he realises in that moment, she's not mine or anybody's. You know, not even Wudan could claim her, the thing she apparently wanted.
That was it, wasn't it? All she wanted was freedom. And that was her taking her freedom because there was no way she could have got it any other way, right? She would have been beholden to her partner. She'd been beholden to her husband, or her family is a wealthy, well-to-do family, or she'd been beholden to the monks at Wudan. The only way she could take her freedom into her own hands was what she did.
Yeah.
Well, so I don't know what Ang Lee and James Seamus intended, but for me, when I saw the film with no context, I had been shown several times that she could effectively fly, and I assumed that she would survive that fall. And then in context, knowing the Crane pentalogy now, and having seen the loose adaptation that is the Netflix sequel, she doesn't die. She goes to the desert and has children, and they are in the next story. Or a child. She swaps a child with someone else. That's what it is.
I thought that she was alive as well, and she went off, got a wish, did that. But then Petra was saying, no, she's committed suicide because she's beside herself with grief and all this kind of stuff. So I was like, well, there you go. It's quite got two opposing.
Yeah, it's not a direct adaptation of the book, so I think it's ambiguous, and I think it's good that it's open to interpretation. But
I like films like that you can, because in another way he's like immortalised the film, because people will always talk about that ending now, and and you can imagine some people probably it's quite a hot topic for some people, and especially if they know the series, they'll probably say, well, no, it's this, it is because the series goes on, and things like that, and then you get people just saying, well, the film's a standalone film, blah blah blah. So it's good. I think it's very clever ending.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon sees warrior Li Mu Bai drawn once again into conflict with Jade Fox, his master's killer, whom he'd previously vowed to avenge, after her protege steals the green destiny sword he had tried to relinquish peacefully in the hope of pursuing his romantic interest in fellow warrior Yu Shu Lien. Once Jade Fox sees that Li Mu Bai is attempting to train her apparent apprentice Jen, and that her pupil has already surpassed her, she vows to exact bitter revenge on the pair, and by extension, the Wudan school that spurned her. So, what do we think of the diabolical plan? And let's go first to Lord Manly Supreme with his proprietary broccoli rating.
I don't know. Not much of a scheme, is it really?
No. My scheme is more of a scheme.
My scheme's way more of a scheme.
what are the schemy elements of it if we pin it down? So obviously the first thing she does is takes an apprentice and tries to train someone else in the arts of Wudan that were denied to her.
Right. She murdered the master that slept with her, that wouldn't let her train at the school.
Right. And then within the period that the story of the film takes place, she obviously keeps an eye on Jen after she's run away and, finds her unconscious in the pool and takes her away. And then her other main scheming thing to do is to poison her needle gun. And she's planning on killing Jen with that.
And she's killing Jen for the betrayal of Sapasana, right?
Yeah, for doing essentially the same as Wudan did to her by denying her the teachings. Although, of course, Jen understands that Jade Fox, she's not doing it out of spite or anything. She just understands she's not capable of understanding it and progressing any further. So there's not many elements that are scheming. I would warrant you that.
I think it was quite clever that she hid in plain sight as the governess.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll give it a 5. A 5 floor it. Probably right in there.
That's fine. What about you, Adam? You haven't weighed in on this because you went to the toilet for a shit there. What did you?
I'm not I've got good bowel movements, but I'm not that good.
This is the part of the show where the panel of peril compete for the title of this week's most diabolical. Up for grabs is 2 points for the winner, which will go towards the series leaderboard. As host this week, I'm at home advantage, so if my plan wins the vote, I only get 1 point. But as for this week's episode, there can only be 1 or 2 or 4 winners.
But never 3.
Never 3, as we've realised. Jade Fox wanted to take revenge on Wudan and Jen, but she failed. So, what would we have done differently? Just to mix things up like we did last time, I'll go first.
Ooh, spicy meatball.
Could I ask a quick question?
What, before I've even done it?
It is to do with your plot synopsis.
Okay.
Do we have to get our revenge on Jen as well? Because I have not done that.
Yeah, I've not done a revenge on Jen. I've just done on the Wudan.
No, it's fine.
Buono, grazie.
Imagine if I said yes. You just have to frantically rewrite it.
I was like, oh, shit.
I went into my Word document when you said that. I was like, uh-oh.
Oh, SpaghettiOs.
I tell you what. Jade Fox wanted to take revenge on Wudan, but she failed. So, what would we have done differently?
Bonza, mate. Bonza.
And just to mix things up, like we did last time, I'm going to go first.
Ooh.
Deja vu.
Wudan is a whorehouse, according to Jen, brainwashed by the bitter teachings of Jade Fox. It is, we are shown, the seat of misogynistic hubris, with Shu Lien sure that even Jen, skilled as she is, will not be accepted to study there. Despite Li Mu Bai's insistence that the things we touch are impermanent, we are shown more than once that he is not immune to the pleasures of the flesh. So, why not make Wudan an actual whorehouse? As Jade Fox, I recruit and train an army of women, using not only the Wudan manual, but also the Kama Sutra.
Ooh.
They spend several days servicing the monks. Nothing they don't want to do, just handies probably, because they're monks, so we'll take anything. Then, in one carefully orchestrated move, they poison all of the pricks in their sleep. With them out of the way, we are free to study the Wudan manual and empower all women everywhere.
Very succinct.
Yeah.
Any questions?
There was a leap there where you went from kind of establishing it to, so why not make Wudan an actual whorehouse? Are you saying the final state is a whorehouse? Because that's not empowering women, Craig.
You're wrong. Sex work is work.
Yes.
It's power. Don't denigrate sex workers.
And sex workers are not just females, they're also males as well.
Quite right.
Surely you've seen a few rent boys in your time.
Are there males? Because I only heard you talk about females in this.
Because it's the seat of misogyny.
No, it's specifically in this scenario.
Okay. So would they bring in males later?
Probably. Once women everywhere were empowered, then it'd be time to start bringing in the rent boys.
Oh, okay.
I spent the last minute frantically Googling when the Kama Sutra was written. It turns out 4th century AD.
I was going to say it's pretty old.
Which, predates when Crouching Tiger's set by several thousand years. So that's fine. Or not several thousand, over 1,000.
Yeah.
Checks out. The timeline checks out. Kudos.
In your training of these women, obviously you do the Wudan and the Kama Sutra.
Do the Wudan.
Do the dirty Wudan.
It's a cocktail.
That's it.
What would an average day's training schedule look like? Just talk me through it.
Oh, too sexy for you to imagine. If I describe it to you, we'll have to censor it anyway.
I'm going to be putting in some boing sound effects right there.
Some penny whistles.
Just imagine wire foo and translate that to whatever else you're thinking about.
Oh, my Lord.
I'm imagining Babs Windsor in Carry On Camping, where a bra pops off and flies across the campsite.
But then she follows it.
Bra wire foo.
It's hovering just in front of exposing her breasts.
Bravo. Oh, my. Okay, so next up, let's have Lord Manly Supreme.
Having spent years posing as a governess for a wealthy family, I'd use my hard-earned social standing to get a job running the staff at the Wudan monastery. I'd do my job properly for a few weeks, learn the monks' routines, and keep my head low. Once I have adequate knowledge of their comings and goings, I would start to exact my revenge. At opportune moments, I'd start messing with their qi by abusing the ancient art of feng shui. In the middle of the night, while the monks are sleeping, I'd place a mirror opposite the front door, causing all of the good energy that comes across the threshold to be immediately bounced back outside. Next, instead of completely cleaning the stoves in the kitchen, I'd leave almost imperceptible traces of grease on them. As we all know, stoves are centres of wealth, and the dirt would stop the wealth energy from flowing, and the monk's financial position would become more and more precarious. While they're meditating, I'd leave the front and back doors open, thus causing the energy to flow straight through the building without reaching all the rooms. Finally, and this is the real coup de grace, I'd make up the beds in the monks' rooms to have the beds and pillows directly aligned with the doors, causing the monks to get blasted head-on by energy while they're trying to rest. Can you imagine? In a matter of weeks, they'd be financially ruined and too sluggish to fight or make any meaningful contribution to society. Once the emperor catches wind of the monks' fall from grace, he'd have them disbanded and exiled for bringing great shame upon themselves, and I would finally be satisfied.
All right. Any questions?
Bouncing energy out, is that a technical term? Is that part of Feng Shui's teachings, that you can bounce energy out if things aren't arranged correctly?
Well, that's what happens. It gets reflected straight back out the door, because what you want is that flow of energy hitting every room in the house. You need your elements balanced. A mirror's just going to fire any positive energy that comes in, is getting fired right back out that door. You do not want that, Gaz. Trust me.
Okay.
You haven't got a mirror in front of your door, have you, Gaz?
Yes, I have, actually.
Oh, shit.
This explains a lot.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, no wonder you're such a sluggish bastard.
So it's good or bad energy doesn't really matter, though. So as long as
No,
you got it,
just energy. You want the energy coming
energy. So it's neither.
in. You just want energy.
neither
Yeah,
good nor
it's all
bad.
about energy.
Okay.
Yeah, feng shui.
Okay.
If you're looking for somewhere to put your bed or desk, like an important piece of furniture in a room, perhaps a sofa in a living room, for example, you want that diagonal away from the door. You won't want it aligned because you'll be getting blasted by energy. You want what's called the commanding position, usually in the diagonal corner from the door.
You're grandmaster in Feng Shui.
It's just one of many strings to my bow.
How many strings do you have?
Oh, 4,
So you're saying you're a ukulele Feng Shui?
more or less.
So the monks are exiled in disgrace
Yeah.
because the Feng Shui's fucked up their wealth, their own energy, their qi. Can't they just explain that it was due to Feng Shui, or are they just completely unaware?
You familiar with spice zombies, Gaz?
Yes. All too familiar.
Right. Well, basically, if your cheese fucked up, you're going to become a spice zombie. You might try and explain it. the Emperor will say, "Why has this happened?" And they'll go, because, and the Emperor will go, "Get out, you're exiled."
So I had a question. You, in this scenario, you use your background experience as a governess to get the job.
Yeah.
Okay, so you are Jade Fox in this scenario.
Yeah. But I'm a master of disguise, so I'll change up my face. Yeah. I wouldn't look the same.
Oh, I see.
Transformer.
Oh, I see. That was going to be my question. How do they not recognise Jade Fox among them?
I'd trim a muff or whatever.
Okay, we all happy with that? I don't think that they would recognise Jade Fox?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm particularly pleased with that part.
All right then. So with no further questions, we'll move on to Adam Turner.
Like all those that possess great power and skill, Li Mu Bai is graced with confidence, perhaps overconfident, maybe even arrogant. So it could be said for the Wudan also. Safe in the comfort of their temple high in the mountains and brimming with a confidence only deadly martial arts could bring, they sleep easy. Only they shouldn't. Revenge is a powerful motivation, and Jade Fox now has the deadliest weapon there is, Zhang Ziyi. Instead of being overcome with rage at Zhen's power, Jade Fox recognizes she presents a huge opportunity to enact her revenge on Wudan. Knowing that Zhen is conflicted by Shu Lien and her friendship with her, Jade Fox sets out to eliminate her. Luring Shu Lien out of her compound with a phony message from Li Mu Bai, she slays her with a poison dart. Many poison darts. Li Mu Bai, after learning the fate of his squeeze, he is grief-stricken. Who is there to console him but Zhen? And she requests to be taken to the temple to learn the way of the Wudan so she can avenge her friend Shu Lien. Li Mu Bai agrees after seeing she has some skill with a blade, although she holds back for fear of exposing her skills learnt from Jade Fox. They make their way to the temple high in the mountains, and Zhen begins her training, secretly followed by the Jade Fox. While Li Mu Bai watches Zhen being trained by his contemporaries, he grows fond of her and secretly trains her whenever he has the chance. When Zhen is ready for her grading, the whole temple is gathered in the courtyard and a sumptuous buffet prepared for the celebrations afterwards. But who has done the catering? Yes, it's JF Catering Co. Or that's Jade Fox Catering Co. to you and I, secretly disguised as Jellyfish Catering Co. to the Wudan. Yes, she gets her lackeys to create the sumptuous smorgasbord, and as the grading comes to a close, the celebrations reach their peak. Poisoning a drink called Ji Yun Yang, which is a fermented sweet rice wine flavoured with amanthus flowers. Everybody is too high and in the mood of celebration to notice any difference, and they all die.
I think that's at least your third plan that involves poison.
Yeah, I feel like because she had the poison darts and stuff like that, and then she's it mentions that she's
familiar.
She's a bit of an alchemist. Yeah. I thought, well, it makes actual sense for her to do it, and it kind of goes to waste because she uses it in an overt way, doesn't she, with all those poison darts all the time. And it's kind of like a missed opportunity for me, and that's why I went for this, although I didn't get to finish the plan properly. I was in mid-flow, and then we had to come on, and I couldn't finish it.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I sort of trailed off towards the end.
So they were all high from poison.
Yeah.
And then they die. I don't think that's a very good revenge, because they're all dying happy, surely, if they're just like, hey, and
they're all high to begin with, and then they sort of realise that they've been poisoned, and then they all start coming down and panicking,
real bad,
and eventually their hearts stop.
The ultimate come down.
The ultimate come down. Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
all the way down.
So I got a couple of questions.
Fire away.
Why would Li Mu Bai be interested in training Zhen if she holds back her skills from him?
He's just seen enough. Yeah, he's just seen enough.
Okay.
And he's obviously grief-stricken at the time. His emotions are rushing all over the place. And he's looking for a new maybe partner in crime a bit later on. So he's like, oh yeah, she's a bit handy with a sword. She's a bit easy on the eye. Let's take her under my wing and take her up to the temple. Who knows where that might lead.
He's going to take her up the temple, is he?
Take her right up the temple.
Take her up the temple, yeah. Have you ever been up the secret passage, Jen?
I had one other question, which is a wild card, I think.
Go on then.
Given that Li Mu Bai now has taken Jen into his training and affections, what about Lo? How does Lo enter into the story? He's been following Jen around. What does he do?
Oh, he's off doing whatever he does. He doesn't know where they've gone because they take this path up to the temple of the Wudan, and he's sort of like...
He knows how to get there, though, because he does go there in the film.
All right.
And he's been following Jen around, so I think he'd see Jen and Li Mu Bai together and be overcome with jealousy.
Well, he goes to the party afterwards and has a cocktail and snuffs it as well.
That works for me.
Finn.
Buttoned off for all my questions there.
It seems you've wrapped it up nicely in a neat little bow.
That is a completely fair explanation of what happens to him. I have no issue with that. Any more for any more? Any more questions? Any more questions? Time then for Gareth's plan. He was very muted last week. Has he returned to his antics?
What was last week? I can't remember now.
It's just your really sensible plan last week. That was just
the Simpsons. Well, I'm slightly annoyed that Adam's gone before me, but here we go. Jade Fox's hunger for revenge against Wudan is mostly sated by her murder of Li Mu Bai's master. Mostly. After taking up with Governor Yu and secretly taking Jen Yu as her apprentice, she has the opportunity to train as a member of the kitchen staff and takes it up. As she is illiterate, Jade Fox commits her favourite recipes to memory, lovingly preparing meals for Jen and Governor Yu on special occasions or when travelling. Her favourite meal to prepare is a traditional noodle soup. In a large saucepan, heat 500 ml of chicken stock and bring it to a boil. Keep near boiling point throughout, around 99 degrees Celsius, and serve at that temperature. Add 200 grams of finely chopped green onions. Now we're talking, aren't we? Now we're talking. Add 100 grams of bok choy or Chinese greens. Add a good splash of light or dark soy sauce to taste. A little bit like Percy Pepper and Susie's salt, isn't it, Soy sauce, We like that, don't we? Add 20 ml of that old favourite oyster sauce. Add a generous helping of noodles right into the soup. Oh, delicious. Just smell it right now. You can smell it, can't you, Lovely. Once cooked, serve and enjoy. She would prepare noodle soup for Jen Yu's birthdays, for Governor Yu upon crushing any rebellions that may flare up, or when travelling to dignitaries such as Sir Tay. Naturally, upon arriving and setting eyes upon Li Mu Bai at Sir Tay's palace, Jade Fox sees red or green and begins to plot for this unexpected opportunity for revenge. She prepares the recipe as I told you all before, and I can read it again if you want me to.
Please, no.
No? I won't, I'll leave it. And awaits the arrival of the honoured guests. Jade Fox cannot risk physically serving the food to the guests, as Li Mu Bai would surely recognise her, and so she hands the bowls of soup to the waiting staff, specifying which bowl should be placed in front of which diner. Sir Tay, Jen Yu, Governor Yu, Li Mu Bai and other assorted guests finish their bowls of soup, satisfied that their bellies are full and hunger has been staved off for another day. Jade Fox keeps to the shadows, not revealing her hand to Li Mu Bai or anyone else, because what they don't know is that she has served Li Mu Bai's soup at a mere 50 degrees Celsius, which is nearly half of the recommended serving temperature. Fox quietly laughs to herself, as revenge is a dish best served cold.
Excellent.
Bravi.
Also, there's purple yin poison in it, and he does die.
I wonder if old Chinese would send something like that back to the kitchen to get it reheated, though.
Certainly possible. It's a debate as to whether he would be so aloof as to send it back, or whether he would be courteous in another man's home to just simply wolf it down.
Go in.
What's the temperature outside when this is served?
Temperature outside, I would say it's a balmy 43 degrees Celsius.
That's hot. So if the soup's only 50, there's not going to be any steam coming off it, so it's not going to look hot.
Yeah. So that's why it looks cold.
That's true.
Yeah.
So I thought if it's a chilly day, you still get away with the steam. but no. 43 degrees.
Oh, he's got you there. He's trapped you.
That's fucking well hot.
I had two questions unrelated to the specific temperature of the surroundings.
They're pointless, then. Don't ask.
Even if Li Mu Bai, and I believe he would be courteous enough not to say anything if it was just a case of, oh, this soup's a bit cold. But I think that he would be suspicious enough to question why the soup was cold. Not like out loud, but just to himself, he'd be like, this is suspiciously cold soup. And he'll look around and maybe see Jade Fox hiding. And let's just say, for the sake of argument, that he doesn't and he eats it and he dies of poison. Well, then Shu Lien's going to find out who did it, because the chef specifically told the staff who the bowls should go to.
Yeah, but when Li Mu Bai dies, she could just run away, couldn't she?
Just leg it.
I'm just running away. I've done my stuff. I'm leaving everything behind now.
Even Jen. Leave Jen behind.
Did she want her revenge on Mu Bai? I thought it was the Wudan monastery and the monks there.
Yeah, he's one of them, but...
Yeah. Why is she targeting him?
That's the opportunity that presents itself.
Ah, okay.
Right, okay.
They happen to arrive at the same place, Satay's palace, as in the film, and she's just like, right, I'm fucking going for it. Here we go. And then I'll run away at the end, because that's the only logical thing to do.
Yeah.
Now I see why you specifically were interested in whether or not you had to take revenge on Jen, because I guess after this, if she does run away, that's kind of fine, but if she stayed around with Jen, she'd still encounter the same problem of Jen becoming her superior.
You could just soup her, couldn't she?
She could just super.
Hey, look, what I did was I based my entire plan around revenge is a dish best served cold, and I worked my way back from there.
I know,
Yeah.
I know. If you'd left it there and not gone for the poison at the end, I would have had fewer notes, because I thought that was
Damn.
great.
Yeah, I thought you were going to leave it there, and it was fabulous.
Damn your eyes.
Some truly diabolical schemes there. It's time to cast your votes, and please remember, you may not vote for yourself. All right, so, Adam, who is your vote for?
Well, it's a very tough week because each plan had upsides and downsides, but I had to pick one that was similar to my own, so I've gone with Gaz.
Ooh.
All right, and Gaz, who gets your vote this week?
Well, I think the best explanation to completely and utterly ruin the mind, body and spirit of Wudan came from Lord Manly Supreme.
Rightly so.
All right,
Rightly so.
and Lord Manly Supreme, who gets your vote this week?
For the delivery and the fact that he worked his plan back from a very well-known phrase, it's Gaz.
Ooh.
With,
Oh, okay, and my vote, it's Lord Manly Supreme.
Oh.
So we have another tie. Gaz and Lord Manly.
I've been gagging for points for weeks. I've been jonesing for points.
Well, you earned them. You earned them this week. I really like the concept of fucking with people with feng shui.
Was that a point each or 2 points each?
It's 2 points for me and half a point for you.
Yeah, it's point each. Point each.
Forgot how draws work, do you?
I did, yeah.
So, Gaz, what's that done to the diabolical season 2 leaderboard?
Well, no change in positions from last week, but a change in points, obviously. So in the lead with 7.5 points is Craig. In second place with 6.5 points is myself, Gaz.
Whoa.
And in joint third with 3.5 points each is Adam and Lord Manly Supreme.
Ooh. So that is a change in position. I'm now joint third. I was rock bottom before.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's true. I apologise.
Yeah. so
Rising
you should-
up. I'm back on the street.
Did my time, took my chances.
I can feel I'm getting closer.
Next week, Gaz will be hosting. Tell us, Gaz, what film will we be improving?
We are going to look at the filmic spin-off of one of my favourite British comedy shows.
On the buses?
Not quite. We're going to be watching The League of Gentlemen's Apocalypse.
Yay!
Oh, there's going to be some impressions. I can see it coming now. Ho, 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 ho.
You're my wife now, Dave.
And that about does it for this episode. Thank you for listening, and if you like what you heard, please subscribe, leave us a review on the very platform on which you're currently listening. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at DiabolicalPod. Next week, Gaz will be hosting, and we will be competing to improve the diabolical plan of the League of Gentlemen's Apocalypse. Until then, stop talking like a monk and just fight.
Everybody was kung fu fighting.
Those moves were fast as lightning.
But it was a little bit frightening. But they do some fantastic ironing.
And as for me, my favourite martial artist.
If you're drinking Bovril.
She's got the chops, that's all right.
Oh, she's got chops.
Oh, some lovely chops.
Fucking chops on her.
Oh, love I like.
Lamb. She's got it all.
Simply the breast.
Ang Lee sold it to wasn't it Michelle Yeoh? He said to her, it's basically Sense and Sensibility with martial arts.
Yeah, I said that in the intro.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, don't act like you found that out on your own.
I've got that in my notes here, so...
Yeah, I noted it down during Craig's intro.
I've got more notes than that, you pedants.